we're talking protein today, and I've been getting this question a lot about when you start eating like pro-metabolic. A lot of people, what they do is they just start like pounding on the food, especially carbs. But when you do that, you're usually already eating like a good amount of fat, and then protein gets ignored. And when you're pounding on the carbs and not paying attention to how much fat you're eating or eating the wrong kinds of fat, that's when you start to gain weight. And I've been hearing from a lot of women, seeing a lot of things online and everything about, yeah, I tried pro-metabolic, but then I gained a bunch of weight, and then people tried to convince me that that was normal. Whoa. That just means you're not balancing carbs, protein, and fat properly. And that is like square one, foundational. That's the root of it all. So we're going to talk about one of those macronutrients being protein today, because debatably it's the most important one. Getting enough bioavailable protein can literally change a woman's entire physiology. It is that crucial and that important, specifically first thing in the morning. So the three like foundational rules, I would say, of starting to heal your metabolism is 1, eating enough, 2, eating often, every like 3 to 4 hours, and then 3, eating breakfast within an hour of waking up. Coffee is not breakfast. So for today's video, we're gonna focus specifically on protein in breakfast, because getting 20 to 30 grams of protein first thing in the morning for breakfast is crucial, and it's the most important part of the day. And I always recommend a minimum of at least 90 grams a day of animal-based protein, because that type of protein has a certain blend of like amino acids that plants don't have the equivalent of those amino acids. You know what I mean? Chickpeas have a different protein structure than a steak or eggs, different amino acids. And amino acids are truly the building blocks for so many processes in your body and for a lot of your tissues. Protein supports your muscles, it builds muscle, it's reparative, and it's huge, huge, huge for liver health. Your liver and your hormones are BFFs, they go hand in hand, so focusing on liver health is hugely important. I just posted a video on how you can support your liver best to support your hormones, so go watch that. Basically what the liver does is it's detoxing, especially detoxing old hormones. But it needs bioavailable animal protein in order to do that, and enough protein in order to do that. When your liver's not getting enough protein, it takes away from its job of detoxing and detoxing old hormones especially, and puts more of the focus on like, okay, survival mode. And that's when your body doesn't feel safe, that's when you start to put on excess weight, so on and so forth. But at the same time, if your body isn't getting enough carbs, then your body starts to sacrifice these good amino acids in order to build more glucose. So it's like this vicious cycle. So primary is you want to focus and prioritize getting enough protein first and foremost. And as I said, not all protein is created equal. Just because a food has protein in it doesn't necessarily mean that you can easily digest and absorb that protein. It's all in the amino acid breakdown. Things like nuts and seeds, grains, legumes, and soy, like tofu and tempeh, have protein in them, but the very nature of these plants is to reject digestion. So that protein isn't all usable. It isn't all absorbable. The preparation of the food, your genetics, and the state of your body already really affects those matters. Like if you can make it more absorbable and digest those foods a little bit easier, but in general, that's why it's so important to go more for those bioavailable foods like animal products, animal-based protein first. I know that will like ruffle some feathers, but it's just the fact of the matter. Animal protein is superior, because not only are they easier to digest and absorb, but they're packed full of nutrients that plant-based protein just doesn't have. Things like vitamin A in the form of retinol. Beef liver is the #1 food with the most amount of retinol, and that does so many incredible uses in the body, especially to do with your liver and your hormones. I hate to keep harping on it, but truly when women don't eat enough bioavailable animal protein, I see they have so many issues with their metabolism and their detoxification pathways, which often shows up like acne, hair loss, inability to lose weight, hypothyroidism, irritability, PMS, gut issues, brain fog, and then blood sugar issues. And there's so many more. So a few examples of these bioavailable proteins would be sources like beef, pork, liver, eggs, seafood, shellfish, dairy, like yogurt, milk, and cheese and butter, chicken, bone broth, collagen, gelatin, the list goes on. And variety is key because nowadays we really only focus on the muscle meats of an animal, like chicken breasts, or a cut of a steak is usually from a muscle meat. And that can cause some issues as well because those muscle meats contain a lot of inflammatory fatty acids. So if you're eating only those muscle meats, you're gonna mess up your metabolism too. But how you do it is by including variety. We used to eat nose to tail of the animal, so everything in between, the organs, connective tissue, the muscle meats, and everything in between. Now we don't. And so we need that variety so that we can get a mix of different amino acids and protein. So things like eggs and collagen, bone broth, gelatin kind of fill in the gaps. Seafood especially fills in the gaps of those missing puzzle pieces so you're not just focusing on muscle meats. So one of those foundational rules that I just talked about is eating breakfast within an hour of waking up. This one is so hugely important for a few different reasons. But one, your body's been fasting all night and your body uses glycogen stores from your liver as energy while you sleep. But when you wake up, those glycogen stores are really, really low. So you need to refuel your body and fill those up. The second reason is that when you wake up in the morning, what gets you out of bed is a rise in cortisol. Cortisol gets you up and going, gets you out of bed. Now, think about it this way. This is a how to destroy your hormones 101. Do what I did. Wake up in the morning, skip breakfast, have coffee, and then go work out. And maybe have a breakfast. And if it is, it's like a green juice or a smoothie with like barely any protein in it. That is truly how to ruin your hormones 101. When you get up in the morning out of bed, your cortisol is high, right? It gets you up and out of bed. Imagine throwing coffee onto that. Where do you think your cortisol levels go? They go up. And then work out right after that, they keep going up. So it's good that we have a rise in cortisol getting us out of bed, but then we want to lower it and then stabilize our blood sugar. How we do that is by eating breakfast. And think about it this way, if you just eat carbs, if you just had like fruit for breakfast or like oatmeal with no sort of protein in it, then your blood sugar is going to spike. Because when you have a carb by itself, your blood sugar spikes. It has nothing else to balance it out. That's why whenever you have a meal or a snack, it's so important to add a protein with it and focus on balance of those three macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat. So when you wake up in the morning, it's so important to include protein into the mix so that you can stabilize your blood sugar and lower that cortisol back down to a normal level. But I don't know about you, sometimes I get really sick of eggs. And right now, I'm in an egg ick. So I'm gonna show you a few breakfasts that are high in protein that don't include just scrambled eggs. By the way, 2 eggs are only 12 grams of protein. And we're shooting for like 20 to 30 grams. So we're gonna go over a few breakfast ideas that don't include eggs, but are still high in protein. Let's go.
Starting with mini Dutch babies. These are so easy and so delicious. Start by placing a muffin pan on the rack and heat the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I love this recipe because it's really simple and easy, and you just put all the ingredients into a blender and blend it all up. So it's 1 cup flour, 1 cup milk, 4 eggs, 1/4 cup sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 2 scoops of collagen. You're gonna put all the ingredients except butter and any toppings you want into the blender, blend for 1 minute, and it should be really liquidy. That's normal. Let the batter rest for about 10 minutes. You can clean up your kitchen a little bit. And meanwhile, cut 6 tablespoons of butter into 12 pieces. Once the oven is preheated, you can carefully remove the preheated muffin pan and then put 1 piece of butter into each well. This is what it should look like. And then pour the batter into the wells, about 1/3 cup per well. Don't worry if the butter isn't fully melted. That's not an issue. Then go ahead and put the Dutch babies back into the oven, and they're gonna puff up and lightly brown. It takes about 12 to 15 minutes, and once they come out of the oven, let them cool for about a minute before you dust them with powdered sugar or fill them with any sort of jam. Next up is a protein smoothie. This is my favorite choice of breakfast, especially in those warmer months when it's just too hot to cook anything. So I start with 1 cup of milk. I usually use raw milk, but sometimes I'll use grass-fed whole milk. I put 1 whole banana in it, and you can put whatever kind of fruit you want, a banana or strawberries, mango, whatever sounds good to you. 1 tablespoon-ish of honey, a splash of vanilla just for flavor, 1 scoop of vanilla protein powder, and 1 scoop of collagen. I'll put links to my favorite protein and collagen in the description box below. Once you blend all that up, it should be nice and liquid. You can always add ice if you'd like to make it a little thicker, or some yogurt to give it more protein, and then put it in your cup and it is ready to enjoy. I like to call this next one lazy girl breakfast. This is my favorite yogurt. It's Icelandic skyr. It has so much protein in it with lower fat, only 2 grams of fat to 16 grams of protein. I find this at Trader Joe's. They have 3 flavors, a cherry, vanilla, and they just came out with a raspberry. And then I pair it with this maple chicken breakfast sausage, also found at Trader Joe's. This stuff is so good, and they're already fully cooked. So all I do is warm them up on the stove. I add a little bit of butter so it doesn't destroy my pan. And then I usually eat 2 of them. So I made 4 here, 2 for me and 2 for my husband. And you only have to warm them up for a little bit over the stove, and then they'll be ready to go. I usually pair this with some kind of fruit. So this morning I did a Cara orange. Remember, we don't want to only focus on protein, but also carbs, also healthy carbs like fruit. So this is a large majority of the carb coming from this meal. And that's it, just fruit, chicken sausage, and some yogurt. Last but not least, another lazy girl breakfast, cereal. Lovebird is awesome. This is my favorite brand. Really great ingredients, really simple ingredients. I just have it with some raw milk and then a side of that same breakfast sausage to add a little bit more protein. And that's it. Top it with fruit, berries, bananas, whatever you like. And it is the simplest, fastest breakfast.
I hope you guys enjoyed those ideas. I hope you got some new ideas. You can try some new things to add a little bit more protein into your morning routine. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. That supports my channel. Comment what you want to see more of, or if you have any questions, or if you tried some of these recipes. And then don't forget to subscribe. I post a new video every week. I'll see you next time. Bye.